a law that says states can't produce their own currency unless it's gold and silver. And so all of these states, 11 of them with up to 25 or so that have it in front of their legislatures, have passed legal tender laws. So there's a man named Jim Sinclair, and I don't know if I've told this story to your listeners or not, but he says, "Do you wonder why I always buy American coins?" I said, "Well, actually, I kind of did wonder, because the premiums, when you've been buying them lately, this was a couple of years ago, were quite expensive. There were less expensive ways to accumulate it." But he said, "I'm related to the Goldmans and Goldman Sachs. And I was told by a relative of mine that there will be two resets. And honestly, I would argue, this is me talking here now, that we are in the midst of the first reset right now." And he said that first reset would be man-made and it would fail. And the second reset would be that of Mother Nature. And when Mother Nature had her vengeance and reset the system, the American government would confiscate everything that wasn't American made in origin. And he insinuated that he was told this from a family member of his, the Goldmans and Goldman Sachs. True? Don't know. He believed it? Absolutely. Now, I still own coins that are not American made, although the majority of what I buy is American made. Do I put stock in it? I don't know. It makes me think a little bit. But I typically tell people, look, you can buy from any of these six mints. But when you own gold and silver, one of the reasons to own it is for immediate liquidity. No screwing around. I don't want to haggle with anyone. What's it worth? And if you look at the laws on some of these states, some of them say any coin issued by a sovereign mint, gold or silver, past or present, would be considered as legal tender that could be used for all debts, public and private, albeit you can't make a shopkeeper take it. If that shopkeeper is open to taking it, sure, you can do it. And it would be the melt value of the coin plus any perceived market value, not the face value, where an American Eagle is a $50 coin, as an example, or the Silver Eagle, a $1 coin. That's irrelevant. It's the melt value plus market premium, or even as much as paying your property taxes. But some of them, like Oklahoma, and I think Texas, say American-made coin.
Did you know we're already living through the first of two massive financial resets? According to Andy Schectman, the first reset is man-made and destined to collapse. But what's coming next is far more critical. The second reset will be driven by Mother Nature, leading the US government to seize all non-American made assets. Schectman, with close family ties to Goldman Sachs, was warned by insiders years ago that this scenario was coming, and he's been preparing for the fallout ever since. This isn't just a theory, it's a calculated plan in motion, and most people don't even see it. Stick around to find out why owning American-made gold may be your last line of defense in a world where financial chaos and asset confiscation are looming closer than ever.
In terms of what I'm seeing, the volume of transactions is down. The size of the orders is exponentially higher. And I'm dead serious on this. We used to, back in the day, get one seven-figure order a quarter, if that. Now they come in several a week. And I think that you have people who have, for a long time, given up control of their money to an advisor. They go to their financial advisor and say, look, I'm scared, man. I don't like what I see. This just doesn't seem right. Oh, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. The recency bias, the normalcy bias, that is very, very thick, especially at the end of a long macro trend cycle. This has been a long cycle. And a lot of people who are very well read read the wrong stuff. And I think you have a lot of very wealthy people, especially older folks, that are getting to the point where they just take matters into their own hands and say, you know what? In their heart, they're feeling, I am more prepared or inclined to understand what is coming than you are. You're not aligned with the way that I see the world. And I'm going to take matters into my own hands and direct my own money. So inflation 100% is an inflating of the money supply. It's an increase in the money supply. So a 7% inflation rate or money creation, and the Cantillon effect says it takes time for the money to work its way through the system because it benefits the people closest to it, the hedge funds who can borrow at next to nothing and buy assets and jack up their asset price and jack up their bonuses. The wealthy people who buy assets who are able to get to it before it trickles down to the system in the form of higher prices. But if we just take it at what it is, a 7% money creation on average over 10 years would mean that the price of gold or the price of the dollar or the value of the dollar has been cut in half over the last 10 years. That's mathematical law, if indeed it's at 7%, like this economist told me. Okay, fine. Well, what was gold 10 years ago? 1,200 bucks. And here we are today at almost 27. So did gold go way up over the last 10 years, or did the dollar go way down? And it's that gold has just been sitting there, and the dollar has been going down and down and down and down in purchasing power. The bigger money is always ahead of the crowd. And it's like the little man rule, where the little man never really succeeds because he or she follows the masses and the crowd. And the bigger money, who is more inclined to be in tune to what's happening, they are ahead of the crowd. Now, you could go a step further and say the central banks, who are the biggest money and the most informed money, well, they're buying gold hand over fist, and it's not stopping. This is why so few people really ever succeed in investing, because they follow the crowd. And that's the whole premise behind Elliott wave and Kondratiev wave theory, which is largely due to or related to human emotions. This time it's different. It's different on many levels. And every time people say that, it's usually bullshit, but this isn't. Because number one, you have a draining of the exchanges. No one ever stood for delivery before. In the month of August, 8.1% of all of the silver available for delivery in London was delivered. 8% in 1 month was taken off of the exchange. And you're seeing massive deliveries where these countries are standing for delivery, and they understand, because they are motivated, coordinated, sophisticated, wealthy, and they understand that they can stand for delivery. The London Metals Exchange, LBMA, is 140 years old, and the majority of its entire life, all of these countries in the global south were third world, under sophisticated, certainly not motivated or coordinated. Think the BRICS, where there's coordination here, and all the countries applying to it understand. Think the new unit currency. All of these countries understand, and so they're coordinated, motivated, sophisticated, and saying the West are a bunch of idiots suppressing the price of gold and silver. Let's stand for delivery. Something that I just read in the Washington Post, and it's also been picked up in Politico. But I want you to think about this. We're 40 days away from an election, right? Maybe the biggest in this country's history. And what is Congress doing? Well, they're working on rolling out something called the 28th Amendment. There's only been 27 amendments in a few hundred years. Now we're trying to get 28, and it's called the Continuity Amendment. Are you familiar with this, by the way?
I'm not. Please share it.
Okay. This would allow for the immediate replacement of 100 or more members of Congress, get this, in the event of a mass casualty, without holding an election or involving voter participation. Would require each member of the House to submit the names of at least 5 individuals from his or her political party to the state governor. In the event of mass casualty, the governor would choose of each state the name of within the list within 10 days. One name from within the list within 10 days, and the House Speaker would be required to seat them immediately. Now, when we talk about bizarro world, I mean, that's about as bizarre as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. 40 days before election, and this is what they're worried about, a mass casualty event. I don't know.
Yeah,
all of this stuff just makes
thinking?
you wonder what the hell's going on. Sergey is the reason I have been saying that there will be a commodity-backed currency for the BRICS for almost 4 years publicly. Thelma came out and said a couple things. We're not going to do a BRICS currency at this point, but a BRICS settlement currency, which is vastly different. And it will be pegged to 40% gold, not commodities, gold, which is what? The only other tier 1 reserve asset as defined by the BIS, and a basket of 60% BRICS plus currencies with not more than 30% of any one currency dominating the basket. Okay, fine. We agree upon it in principle, said Delma Rousseff. It's a massive deal. It really is a massive deal, and it's really a perfect solution because, first of all, they said it would trade over Project Mbridge. Mbridge, as we've talked about, is the cross-border payment system that allows these countries to trade with one another outside of SWIFT interference. But the key to understanding Mbridge is that its primary use is to trade CBDCs. Each country will have their own CBDC, meaning they'll have their own little ecosystem, their own economy, their own monetary economy that they need to take care of, both fiscally and monetarily. They need to take care of it. Forget about the dollar for a moment. They need to make sure that their house is in order within their own economy, right? And they will trade with one another over Mbridge, which cannot be interfered with dollars because the dollars are not compatible on Enbridge. And Enbridge, of course, was designed by China, Hong Kong, Thailand, United Arab Emirates. Those four countries, there's about 25 observational countries. And guess who just signed up as a full participant? Number 5, Saudi Arabia is a full participant in Enbridge. Now you have a pivoting Fed, you have inflows coming into the ETFs for the first time in 2 years, and interest rates that are moving in the other direction, which will weaken the dollar. What matters is the fact that they're all preparing for it to happen. And whether Trump wins or not, he's not prepared to fight this battle either. He wants to sanction more countries for doing this. And he wants low interest rates and a weak dollar. This is the reason we got in this place to begin with.
Now that you know about the coming financial resets and the potential for asset confiscation, you're one step ahead. But this is just the beginning. To fully prepare for what's coming, you're going to need to watch the next critical video on this channel. It's packed with more insights that could make all the difference in safeguarding your wealth. Don't miss out. Click through now, because understanding what's next could be the key to staying ahead in these uncertain times.